On 9th of April 2023, Ellie Baxter and her partner Marcus went round to check up on Ellie's parents, Carol and Stephen Baxter, as they hadn't heard from them, but they'd been trying to get in contact with them for the last 24 hours, and Ellie was a bit worried because she hadn't been able to get in contact with her because her mother was unwell. Ellie went to the back of the house and could see her parents lying there, and they appeared to be dead, and she started screaming, and with that her partner ran to the back to see what was wrong, and she ended up ringing 999. For some reason she couldn't back herself, presumably either she didn't have a key with her or it was locked so she couldn't get in. And she called 999 and told them what had happened. She got Marcus to break into the house and described to the ambulance what was wrong, and her parents were deceased. This is the case of Carol and Stephen Baxter. Carol Baxter had been a primary school teacher for over 30 years. She was born in January 1959. She had two children, grown-up children, to her husband, and Stephen was born in October 1961, and he had been an engineer, and he was quite a successful engineer, toured Dubai and places like that, and he was well known within his field. At some point, I think, in 2017, Carol Baxter and Stephen started their own company, so it was Carol's idea. She was a maths teacher and she'd had enough of, not strictly 9 to 5, but had enough of working as a primary school teacher and started up her own business selling shower mats, and that business was called Kaz Splash. And so they sold curved and corner shower mats, and they started that business on the 30th of August 2017. That's according to Companies House. And they had 3 adult children, all living independently, had a child by a previous marriage. Ellie and her brother were the 2 siblings, children of Carol and Stephen jointly. They were well known within the community. They lived in a place called Mersey Island within the county of Essex, and it was actually an island separate to the coast of Essex, very close to Essex, but you had to do it online and on television. I think there's sort of like a bridge that you can drive across to get to Mersey Island. All through Ellie's life, her mother had been suffering with a disease called Hashimoto's disease. I'm just going to look that up. Hashimoto's disease, which is a thyroid disease, and its common symptoms are fatigue and difficulty concentrating, feeling cold even in warm environments, weight gain, constipation, dry thinning or coarse hair, muscle weakness, aches or cramps of the neck, which may be painless and the only early symptom, and heavy or irregular menstrual periods. So those are the symptoms, and Ellie was 23 when this happened, and she remembered having this all her life, and it didn't really impact her. However, later on in her life, it did start to impact her quite severely and affect her mental health. She did seek medical advice about this and saw various neurological specialists, and they said, well, what she was suffering wasn't a symptom of Hashimoto's disease. The only thing they could think of was anxiety related, and she wasn't happy with that diagnosis. However, she started to get emails from, I think the name of the lady was Dr. Andrea Bowden, based in Florida, who contacted her out of the blue. So this isn't spam. I'm an expert in Hashimoto's disease and I can help you. So she started sending her very regular emails, and more emails than you'd normally expect a medical doctor to send you, calling us things like honey and things like that. And also as part of that WhatsApp group with other people who are affected, a bit of a community involved. However, I never actually met Dr. Andrea or saw her. Neither did her husband. Nobody knew what she looked like. Andrea asked her to send her videos of how she looked, whether she was keeping to the program, that sort of thing. After this by a friend of theirs, family friend, who'd come into their lives around about 2017. He helped them set up their website for their new business, and he was part of the local community as well. They're all very involved in the local community, even involved in charitable organisations. Luke was involved in various community initiatives and was very well known within the community. He was thought of as a bit nerdy and a bit weird, but people liked him because he seemed to, do a lot of good within the community. So Luke DeWitt then. So yes, he volunteered at a soup kitchen, helped with the town carnival, and appeared willing and ready to assist anyone who needed it. He was a freelance website designer, and that's how he got close with the Baxters, by building their website. I think he probably knew them before then, but they started a proper friendship after that. And I think that was around about 2017 when he did that, 2018. I see them very frequently, and he used to help them with the videoing of all these concoctions that this Dr. Andrea was encouraging them to make, all these smoothies, videoing them to make sure that they were following the procedures, and she was checking in with her WhatsApp groups and this, that and the other. However, there was a lot of malevolent intent that Luke DeWitt, unknown to them, had. When the police did their investigations after finding the bodies of Stephen and Carol DeWitt, they had 3 theories. One was a joint suicide, because they could work out that they'd obviously taken a drug overdose. And the second option was a murder-suicide. And the third option was a third party, and it transpired that it was indeed a third party. They found, during their evidence collecting, a will. Carol Baxter left everything to her daughter, and bear in mind they had a son as well, the daughter and Luke DeWitt. So with that, the police arrested Ellie Baxter, their daughter, and Luke DeWitt. Now, Ellie's case wasn't helped by the fact that the neighbourhood didn't actually like her. There were a lot of loud arguments involving Ellie and her parents, and the police had been called a number of times. TV documentary about it, Ellie said they were just all very loud personalities, very strong personalities. And yes, they did argue, but there was, nothing to it. It was never violent or anything. It was just they used to have, quite loud arguments. At the time all this happened, when Ellie was brought into questioning, she was 7 months pregnant. And as part of my research for this, I did listen to a podcast. I'll find the details. I can't remember the name of the podcast now. And they seem to show, on the documentary, you see quite a lot about it. It seemed to show the entirety of the phone call and the video call. And if you listen to the state that Ellie was in after finding the body of her parents, there's no way she could have been acting. You could just hear the grief. I was listening to it on a train ride to London and nearly stopped listening to it because it was so distressing, just listening to the pain and the grief in her voice. And they did quickly let Ellie go due to lack of evidence. I think she had an alibi. Luke DeWitt, on the other hand, they went and examined his property and found there was an awful lot of electronic devices that he had. I'm going to see if I can find it. So when the police went round, is in July 2023, so a few months after trying to build evidence against him, they found 80 electronic devices. Many had been used to communicate with the Baxters while posing as the fake personalities, so there were numerous fake personalities he created. He also left voice notes, and he was he left voice notes, and he put on the voice of a woman, and they were quite convincing female voices. You wouldn't have thought it was a man doing it. He was quite good at imitating. He had images of the couple dead in their armchairs taken by a hidden camera. And there was a bag found in his bedroom containing fentanyl patches, medication capsules, and metal tacks. And Detective Superintendent Kirby, he would keep his weapons so out in the open, they believed he was planning to strike again. And they also believed that his father and his grandfather had died in similar circumstances, just sudden deaths, separately, but sudden deaths. And they are now currently investigating to see whether he was responsible for those deaths as well. Ellie Baxter was also deceived by the false identities. He had aspirations for a singing career, And one of the people on the WhatsApp groups contacted her saying, "Oh, I know somebody who'll be able to help you. Send us some voice recordings of you." And she did this to this person via WhatsApp. "Oh, darling, it's marvellous. You're wonderful. Oh, yes, I'll be able to help you in your career." So it was very elaborate, the lengths that Luke DeWitt went into, and very sinister and Machiavellian. In March 2024, Luke was jailed for life and told he would be in prison for at least 37 years. Detective Superintendent Rob Kirby, Mr. and Mrs. Baxter, alongside their children, Ellie and Harry. This is Detective Superintendent Rob Kirby said, "He is without doubt one of the most dangerous men I have ever experienced in my policing career. He fooled everyone, he befriended people, came across as a very amenable, helpful person. But in the background, he was a cool, calculating killer who spent years planning the demise of Carol and Stephen Baxter. I have absolutely no doubt that had he not been caught, he would have gone on to commit further murders." DeWitt was arrested at an office he was renting on the University of Essex campus in Colchester. He gave evidence from a wheelchair, which prosecutor Tracy Ailing Casey said was unnecessary. Detective Superintendent Rob Kirby also added that his downfall was the arrogance that existed within him. He didn't cover his tracks properly, and he was deluded in thinking he could use fentanyl to kill 2 people, and that wouldn't be found to be suspicious. Fortunately for him, the trail of fentanyl led directly back to him. And the reason they think he may have been responsible for his father and grandfather was that Vernon, his father, was prescribed fentanyl and found dead at his home in 2021. Officers said they will not hesitate to act if they uncover fresh evidence, an Essex police spokesman said, and they are keen to establish if he killed anyone else before he was caught and jailed. They also are re-examining how his grandfather came to die. And they said how he managed to poison the Baxters. He was extracting the fentanyl from patches prescribed to his father and putting them in smoothies, and he was doing all the smoothies and all the food and everything for Mrs. Baxter. And eventually he decided to kill Mrs. Baxter and Stephen Baxter. I think part of the reason he killed them when he did was Stephen was starting to get suspicious and trying to get more video evidence. And at one point, the WhatsApp were starting to get quite abusive and quite aggressive. And also at one point, Carol found out one of the members of the WhatsApp group had died, and it was because they weren't following the processes and procedures that were being prescribed to her. So he was using scare tactics also to get Carol to carry on the way she was doing things. And they don't think DeWitt had financial motives, even though he did doctor this will. They actually think it was just, he enjoyed doing it. He was just had a lot of evil intent. And he just wanted to kill people, basically. It was a power and control thing. So that's the end of the case on Carol and Stephen Baxter. DeWitt was obviously a very malevolent person, and I don't think he should ever be released, really. I'm not sure how old he is now. I think he's in his early to mid-30s now. So, yes, scary case. Anyway, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. And that's it for me. See you soon. I've been Anne-Marie. Bye.